Hi guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. This week we're going to talk about rumination, and I love this topic because I do it. We all do it. We all sit there and obsessively think about a person, a situation, what could happen, what couldn't happen. It causes us so much unnecessary stress and anxiety, and it's super... random car just parked there, just waiting. It just causes us unnecessary worry and stress. And so in this video, I want to go over people that tend to do this more than others. We all do it, so there's nothing wrong with you if you do it more than others, but I do want to talk about the types of people that do tend to ruminate the most and obsessively think the most, of course, why it happens, and more importantly, how to stop it. So now if you're new to my channel, my name is Stephanie. I'm a life and relationship coach. On this channel, we talk about so many different things, mental health related, self-empowerment stuff, law of attraction, narcissism, codependency, anxiety, how the mind works. I mean, this is just like a pillar of information if you have never been on my channel. So please subscribe. I would love for you to join our community. And if you are a longtime subscriber, thank you guys so much for all of your love and support over the years. I can't tell you what it means to hear the messages or read the messages and see the comments from you guys. I wholeheartedly love what I do, and I'm so thankful that it makes an impact in your life. So let's get into this video. So let's just go over rumination. What is rumination? We know it is basically overthinking. Now, this is more than overthinking. This is when we start to really dwell on a situation where we're creating situations that haven't happened. We're obsessively thinking about something that we don't have control over. And the downside to this is it can really cause us an extreme amount of worry, fear, panic, anxiety, and it can really debilitate us in our life if we, number one, don't know that we're doing it, and number two, if we don't know how to stop it. Now, there's two reasons why sometimes we will start to obsessively think. Number one, you are faced with an unknown. You're faced with a situation that you don't know how it's going to pan out. And so you're trying to come up with all of these what if this happened scenarios. And it gets your mind working on overtime, trying to solve this problem that you don't really need to solve yet. You're just basically going into an unknown, which a lot of us don't really enjoy doing. And so we're trying to think about situations that could happen or couldn't happen to help prepare us more. When we're faced with an unknown, even walking into a situation, we could also be faced with an unknown as to why did this happen? So why did this happen? And those kind of really unknown answers or questions that don't always have a black and white answer to, we want answers because it will help us to feel better. So again, the unknown can be a person, a situation. It can also be when you're basically, and it kind of ties into what I just said, but you're really seeking information and knowledge and an answer to a problem that you're having. And the problem could be an actual problem in front of you, or it could be a problem in your mind that you're not able to really grasp the answer to, or you don't want to hear what the answer is. Or maybe there isn't just one solid answer. Maybe it's a mix of different things, and your mind's trying to kind of come up with these answers to really help soothe yourself, even though no answer will actually help soothe yourself. The problem with rumination is that the mind is really amazing, and that it will come up with a bunch of stories to keep this thought alive, because it really wholeheartedly thinks that by keeping this thought alive and by you obsessing about it, trying to find out the answers or trying to resolve this problem or trying to come up with worst case scenarios to help prepare yourself, that this is actually helping you, and in some way it's going to alleviate any pain that you could possibly feel, and that's not true. Now, when we're trying to come up with all of these reasons or answers to avoid pain, this is really a trauma response. So what you think is actually trying to help you is by playing out all these scenarios and preparing yourself for worst case scenario, what you really just end up doing is you start to create a habitual habit of worrying and obsessive thinking. And then of course, the more you keep doing that, now you start going into having actual severe stress and panic, because the problem is you're thinking and portraying and worrying about a situation and playing out all these scenarios or trying to get these answers and seeking answers to this problem that you're having or this question that's kind of like plaguing you, and it's still not making you feel better because, number one, the situation that you're worrying about isn't actually happening, so there's nothing you can really do about it. So it's almost like a hamster just going around in the wheel constantly, and it can't actually even go anywhere. So that's one scenario. The other scenario is worrying about or overthinking about a person or a situation because you're obsessing about one thing, but you're really not getting to like the root of the actual problem or the wound that you're really feeling. You're just masking it with obsessing about this person and why did this happen and why are they the way they are and all of those types of things, where it's not really about those questions. It's about going deeper to find out what is the real worry and fear and anxiety and insecurity and trigger and wound that's actually living inside of you that needs to be tended to, so you don't mask this worry or this rumination on this person. You don't mask that with the thing that really needs to be dealt with. So the people that tend to really suffer from rumination and overthinking are definitely people that are prone to anxiety, definitely people that are prone to depression, definitely people that are highly sensitive, because regardless of anxiety or depression or any of those things, if you're someone who's highly sensitive, you really, and I tell this to people all the time, if you at all resonate with being an empath, or not really an empath, but definitely a highly sensitive person. Most highly sensitive people are empaths. Sometimes most empaths are highly sensitive, but you don't have to be both. But chances are you're probably going to resonate with both. But if you are someone that resonates with being highly sensitive, I highly encourage you to really understand what does it mean to be a highly sensitive person, understand how your mind works, understand how your nervous system works. These are really, really important things because it gives you answers to really just understand who you are. So understanding that you're highly sensitive also means that you have a very, very creative mind, which means that your mind runs a lot faster than the average person. So there you go. I mean, if that's not like a real big answer right there. Now, that doesn't mean that it justifies the rumination. It just means that you're more prone to the rumination. You're more prone to obsessively thinking, because obsessively thinking and rumination on some levels allows your mind to be creative, to come up with scenarios and seek answers and want knowledge. And if you're a person that does seek answers a lot, I know for me personally as a child, I was always asking why does this happen? Why does that happen? You know, and I think my mom definitely lost her patience many a times because some things don't have real answers, and she couldn't really go as deep as I probably wanted her to go or that I needed her to go. And so I've known that about myself forever, is that I'm just a seeker of knowledge, and which is a great thing, but it can also be a problem if it's not tended to in a healthier way, or if it's not maintained and monitored. The other types of people that are more prone to rumination and overthinking are the people that have definitely gone through trauma in their life. And you could be both. You could be a highly sensitive person that also has gone through trauma, and overthinking and preparing yourself and wanting all the answers so you can make the best decisions, so you can avoid any amount of pain, is 100% a trauma response. It means you have been through trauma in your life. It doesn't have to be significant trauma, like, oh my God, you got into this horrible car accident. It could just be emotional trauma that you've been through throughout the course of your life that causes you to be more prone to overthinking and OCD and wanting everything to be perfect and control, which also kind of leads into the anxiety and the stress and all of those other things that we talked about. One of the biggest things is learning when you are doing what you're doing and understanding why you're doing it. Then you can kind of keep digging and digging, because what you're always trying to do is figure out the root of things. You're not trying to let the anxiety or the depression or the overthinking or the OCD or all of those things, the need for control, all of that to kind of get in the way of what's really going on. You're always trying to figure out what's the underlying cause of this control, of this worry, of this panic, of this anxiety, of this rumination. And so the more, and sometimes you can't really do that on your own. Sometimes you definitely need coaches and therapists to help you guide you through that. Sometimes you need friends. You can definitely do it on your own, but you would have had to really had a significant amount of practice. Self-parenting, for example, is going to be the thing that's going to help you to learn how to be both the coach and the client, or the child and the parent. So if you're interested in taking my self-parenting course that kind of dives into all of that, I always link everything down below every video in case you guys are interested. But it's a good stepping stone to learn the process of being in tune and taking care of yourself and detaching from the rumination and the anxiety so you can actually help yourself through those spaces. The other thing that I want to mention that I think is really huge is understanding that thinking, I remember Eckhart Tolle saying this in a video once, that the ultimate addiction is not the addiction to shopping and money and status and eating and, sex or any of those things. The greatest addiction is the addiction of thinking. And you can, again, creative mind, again, highly sensitive, again, trauma response, trying to protect myself when I'm not really protecting myself. I'm actually just continuously hurting myself because I'm allowing myself to go down these rabbit holes with rumination and obsessively thinking and worrying about situations that are not happening right now that I don't have any control over, is one of the greatest things that we're trying to overcome. And it's about having more practices in our life that allow us to alleviate from thinking and ruminating, and understanding what do I need to be doing right now that's the healthiest for me, aside from just sitting here and ruminating, or even working and getting distracted and allowing my thoughts to kind of just take over. So having really good self-care, spiritual, religious self-care connection with ourselves, and these practices that we have that we should be implementing as often as we can, is very important to be able to take care of yourself. And it's kind of the self-parenting thing I go back to, because it is like a parent to a child. It's not always all about playing outside with our friends. It is about sometimes stopping that and having to come in and eat dinner and take a shower or do our homework or whatever, doing other things also that are very, very good for ourselves. So you have to be able to have the awareness and self-discipline to say, okay, instead of doing this, because literally no good is going to come of this, it's not something I have to worry about right now, it's not something that I'm dealing with right now, that I'm going to take that energy and put it into something else, whether it's a hobby or anything that you want to be doing, that you should be doing, that is taking the best care of yourself. That's number one. But also trusting in yourself that no matter the situation that you could possibly be facing, that you'll be okay. I think that's very important. And understanding and learning how to soothe yourself when the answer to the problem is that you were dealing with someone who's narcissistic, for example, or you're dealing with someone who had an inability to love you when you're obsessing about a relationship that has ended or what's to come next. Really giving yourself that clarity is very, very important. And like I said, sometimes we can't do this on our own. We need family, friends, coaches, and therapists to help guide us, because we kind of get lost sometimes in the feelings that we're having and we lose sight of what the reality is. Rumination is all about control. It's all about trying to control a situation, because we think if we get these answers that we're looking for, even though sometimes there is no real solid black and white answer to problems, and no matter how much we try to play out scenarios, we don't know what's going to happen, so then that becomes wasted time and energy. But it is really just about control to try to alleviate any amount of anxiety or pain that we could possibly feel. And I think once you kind of understand what's going on and you learn how to soothe yourself, and you have really great emotional and spiritual and mental practices that you're incorporating in your life when you are starting to go down rabbit holes, because it's not the thing or the person that's the problem, it's just a reaction to it. And understanding how to take the best care of yourself, and learning about yourself, and learning about what does work and what does help you, and what do you need to hear and what do you need to do right now that is going to take the best care of yourself through the situation. That's mental health. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing every single day. We're not supposed to just let our minds wander and do whatever they want to do. It's basically like having a child that you just let do whatever it wants to do, and then you wonder why it grows up to be not the nicest human being in the world, because you essentially were abandoning that child. So start really being super curious as to why you feel the way you do, and start getting to like the root of what's really going on here. And again, sometimes we need people to help us do that because we don't know how to sit in something ourselves. And when you sit with a therapist, or you sit with a coach, or you sit with a friend, that person is basically holding a space for you so you can have that breakdown, so you can crack open and get to the core of what's really going on. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope it gave you some great insight. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who you think is struggling right now with this type of information, or that could benefit from this information. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week.